The galaxy had long ago decided that humans did not matter. In the grand spiral of known space, there were empires that ruled 1,000 systems, species that bent gravity like clay, and ancient races whose history stretched back millions of years. Compared to them, humanity was new, small, and loud. They had only reached faster than light travel 2 centuries ago. That alone made the elders of the galaxy laugh. From the crystal halls of the Aurelian Concord, the ruling council of known space, humanity was classified under a simple label: developing, non-threatening, useful. Useful meant labor. Useful meant trade. Useful meant expendable. The Concord chamber floated above the gas giant Veil Prime, its walls made of living light. Representatives of 23 species hovered, crawled, or sat in their natural forms. Scales shimmered. Tendrils waved. Eyes without pupils blinked slowly. At the center of the chamber, a small platform waited. Empty. "Have the humans arrived?" asked Archmediator Threx, a towering insectoid whose voice echoed like grinding stone. A silver-skinned diplomat from the Valari Collective clicked her tongue. "They are late." "As expected." Soft laughter rippled through the chamber. "Primitive cultures often struggle with punctuality," said High Scholar Ullin, his gelatinous form pulsing. "Their perception of time is emotional." Another wave of amusement followed. Then the platform lit up. A human appeared. He was unimpressive by every galactic standard. Medium height. 2 arms. 2 legs. No natural armor. No bioluminescence. No psionic aura. Just flesh, cloth, and calm eyes. He wore a dark uniform with a small blue emblem on his chest, United Terran Systems. His name was Ambassador Elias Rowan. He stood straight, hands clasped behind his back, and waited. The chamber fell silent. Threx leaned forward. "Human representative. You stand before the Concord. State your purpose." Rowan inclined his head slightly. "On behalf of Earth and its colonies, I request full recognition as a sovereign power, equal vote status, and access to restricted trade lanes." The silence returned, thicker this time. Then the laughter came. "Sure. Cold. Endless." "Equal?" hissed a reptilian warlord from the Drakth Imperium. "Your species barely survived its own atmosphere. You fight wars over imaginary lines on dirt," another added. The Valari diplomat smiled politely. "Humanity's request is ambitious." Rowan did not react. Threx raised a claw. "Human, you misunderstand your position. You were invited here as observers, not equals." Rowan nodded. "We understand exactly where you placed us." That response caused a few eyes to narrow. High Scholar Ullin pulsed brighter. "Then you must also understand why your request will be denied." "Because we are young?" Rowan asked calmly. "Because you are weak," the Drakth warlord snarled. "Because you lack scale," said Threx. "Because you lack power," added another. Rowan finally moved his hands forward and placed a small data crystal on the platform. "May I ask," he said softly, "how the Concord defines power?" The chamber stilled. Ullin answered first. "Military strength. Technological mastery. The ability to shape events across star systems." Rowan smiled faintly. "Then I believe you may have made an error." A hologram burst to life above the crystal. At first it showed nothing but star charts. Then numbers began to appear. Ship counts. Production curves. Logistic flows. The laughter died instantly. "These figures are inaccurate," the Valari diplomat said sharply. "Human shipyards cannot." "They can," Rowan replied. "And they do." The hologram shifted. Images appeared. Human fleets moving through unregistered jump points. Modular ships reconfiguring mid-flight. Swarms of drones assembling capital weapons in open space. Gasps echoed. "That technology is restricted." Threx roared. "We noticed," Rowan said. "You left several gaps in enforcement." The Drakth warlord's eyes flared. "Are you threatening the Concord?" Rowan shook his head slowly. "No. I am correcting an assumption." The hologram zoomed out further. It showed the galaxy. Then, slowly, dozens of human markers appeared, far beyond known Terran space. Whispers spread. "You colonized without approval," the Valari hissed. Rowan's voice remained steady. "We adapted." Ullin pulsed uneasily. "These positions place you near Concord core routes." "Yes," Rowan said. "By design." Threx rose to his full height. "You overstep your place, human." For the first time Rowan's eyes hardened. "With respect, Archmediator," he said, "you decided our place without asking what we were capable of." He tapped the crystal again. The final image appeared. A single human warship. It was smaller than Concorde dreadnoughts. Simpler. Ugly by alien standards. Then the recording played. The ship entered a collapsed star system, one considered unnavigable. Moments later, the star reignited. Artificially. The chamber erupted. "That is impossible," someone screamed. Rowan met Threx's gaze. "They said that on Earth too," he replied. Silence swallowed the hall. Rowan straightened his uniform. "We are not asking for war," he said. "But understand this clearly." His voice carried, sharp and undeniable. "Humanity survives not because we are the strongest, but because we learn faster than anyone else." The hologram faded. "And if the galaxy insists on underestimating us," Rowan finished, "we will continue to use that mistake." Outside the Concorde chamber, unseen and unacknowledged, human fleets quietly adjusted their positions. The galaxy had laughed at humanity for too long, and it had no idea what it had just awakened. The Aurelian Concorde did not respond immediately. That alone unsettled the galaxy. 3 full cycles after Ambassador Rowan's departure, the great chamber above Vale Prime remained silent. No rulings were issued. No sanctions declared. No threats spoken aloud. Silence in galactic politics was never peace. It was calculation. Within the Concorde's inner sanctum, the elder species gathered behind sealed light walls. No observers. No minor powers. Only those who believed themselves untouchable. The human display was deception. Snarled warlord Carex of the Dractage Imperium, his claws carving gouges into the floor. Illusions and selective data. "Or reconnaissance," replied High Scholar Ullin, his gelatinous form dimmer than before. "Their expansion patterns show intent." The Valari diplomat, Envoy Ceres, folded her luminous hands. "Intent is meaningless without strength. They are still limited by population and experience." Threx, archmediator of the Concorde, did not speak at first. His compound eyes replayed the image of the human ship reigniting a dead star. "Strength is not always visible," Threx finally said. "And humans hide things." That statement caused unease. "Then we test them," Carex growled. "Force a reaction." Ceres nodded slowly. "A controlled pressure. Nothing that risks open war." Ullin pulsed. "The outer verge." Threx turned. "Explain." Ullin's voice softened. "There is a disputed system along human trade routes. Sparse population. Limited oversight. If we enforce Concorde law there, we observe how humans respond. And if they resist?" Carex asked eagerly. "Then they reveal themselves," Ceres finished. The decision was unanimous. The system of Kepri 9 was cold, dim and forgettable. Its single star burned weakly, illuminating a ring of asteroid colonies and one small human outpost. To the Concorde it was a footnote. To humanity it was a lifeline. Kepri 9 sat along a trade artery that fed dozens of human frontier worlds. Minerals, fuel, food, everything passed through it. When the Concorde fleet arrived, they did not fire. They did something worse. They declared sanctions. Concorde enforcement vessels established a blockade around Kepri 9. No ships in. No ships out. No warnings beyond a simple broadcast. By authority of the Aurelian Concorde, this system is under review. All unauthorized traffic will be seized. On Earth the news spread like wildfire. In the war room beneath the United Terran Systems headquarters, a massive hologram displayed the blockade. Admiral Hannah Cade stood at its center. "They're probing," she said flatly. General Marcus Vale crossed his arms. "They expect us to protest. Beck. Withdraw." President Elena Cruz leaned forward. "What are our options?" Cade's eyes burned with quiet intensity. "We can't break the blockade openly. Not yet. That's what they want." "Then we lose Kepri 9, Vale said. Cade shook her head. "No. We make them think we did." Cruz studied her. "Explain." Cade smiled faintly. "We comply. Publicly." Ambassador Rowan returned to the Concorde chamber 3 days later. He looked tired. "We acknowledge the Concorde's authority in Kepri 9, Rowan said. "Human vessels will withdraw." The chamber watched closely. Ceres tilted her head. "You concede so easily?" Rowan spread his hands. "We are a peaceful species." Carex laughed loudly. "As expected." Threx observed Rowan in silence. The withdrawal began immediately. Human freighters turned away. Escorts powered down. Colonists were evacuated. The Concorde declared success. But beyond official channels, something else was happening. In the shadow of Kepri 9's asteroid belt, small human ships detached from larger vessels and vanished, slipping into microjump corridors too unstable for Concorde navigation. Drones followed. Then more. Deep within the system, inside hollowed asteroids, human engineers activated silent platforms. No energy spikes. No broadcasts. Weeks passed. The Concorde grew bored. That is it. Carrick scoffed during a council update. They folded. Ullin pulsed uncertainly. Their data traffic has increased. Fear, Sarah said. Reorganization. Thrax did not look convinced. Then it happened. A Concorde patrol ship drifted too close to an asteroid. It vanished. No explosion. No distress call. Just gone. The next patrol doubled its sensors. Then it vanished too. Alarm rippled through the blockade. What is happening? Saris demanded. Sensor feeds flickered. Then space itself seemed to tear. Human ships emerged, dozens of them, unmarked, unregistered, and unlike anything the Concorde had catalogued. They did not fire. They disabled. Concorde vessels went dark one by one. Systems overridden. Power drained. Crews left alive but helpless. Within minutes, the blockade collapsed. A broadcast filled every channel. Ambassador Rowan's voice. This system is not under review, he said calmly. It is under protection. Carrax roared in fury. They attacked Concorde forces. They used non-lethal force, Ullin whispered. That required extreme precision. Threx watched the tactical feeds in silence. The human ships did not pursue fleeing Concorde vessels. They returned to the asteroids. Vanished. Across the galaxy, observers reacted in shock. They bypassed Concorde shields. They hacked fleet command systems in real time. They built infrastructure under our sensors. On Earth, Admiral Cade exhaled slowly. Phase 1 complete, she said. President Cruz nodded grimly. And the galaxy? Cade's eyes hardened. Just learned its first lesson. Back in the Concorde chamber, Threx finally spoke. The humans did not resist, he said quietly. They adapted. For the first time in millions of years, the Concorde faced an uncomfortable truth. They had underestimated a species that learned faster than fear. And humanity was no longer content to stay small. The Concorde did not declare war. That was the most dangerous choice it could have made. Instead, the Aurelian Concorde did what it had always done when a smaller power embarrassed it. It rewrote the rules. Within days of the Kepri 9 incident, new regulations flooded galactic space. Trade tariffs, transit restrictions, security inspections. Every clause carefully written to apply only to developing species. Only to humans. Human convoys were stopped and searched. Their ships were delayed for weeks. Insurance rates tripled. Independent traders were warned that doing business with Earth could result in sanctions. The galaxy watched. Many expected humanity to collapse under the pressure. They did not understand humans had been practicing this kind of survival since before they reached the stars. On Earth, President Cruz addressed the Global Assembly. They are trying to starve us without firing a shot, she said. So we stop feeding their system. Admiral Cade stepped forward. Operation Blindfold is ready. Cruz met her gaze. Proceed. Across human space, something strange began to happen. Shipyards slowed. Factories went quiet. Trade manifests vanished from public channels. To the Concorde it looked like economic retreat. In truth, humanity was disappearing. Human networks withdrew into encrypted quantum channels that Concorde algorithms could not decode. Civilian traffic was rerouted through unstable regions the elder species avoided. Colonies switched to self-sufficient production models overnight. Within a month, Concorde economists noticed something alarming. Human trade had not collapsed. It had become invisible. How are they sustaining this? Saris demanded during an emergency session. Ullin pulsed frantically. Their energy consumption has increased. Their military output has increased. But we cannot trace the supply lines. Carrax slammed his fist onto the table. Then we force them into the open. Thrax looked up slowly. How? Carrax's teeth bared in a grin. We take something they value. The target was Eos Station. A massive human research habitat orbiting a blue-white star. Officially civilian. Unofficially, the heart of human experimental science. The Concorde justified the action under inspection authority. A Drakth strike fleet jumped into the system without warning. On Eos Station, alarms screamed. Scientists and engineers rushed to shelters as the massive alien ships loomed closer. The Drakth commander broadcast openly. Human Station. Power down all systems. You will be boarded. On Earth, Admiral Cade watched the feed in silence. General Vale turned to her. Do we respond? Cade's voice was calm. No. Vale stiffened. They're taking our people. They think they are, Cade replied. The Dracth boarding pods attached to EO Station's hull. The doors cut open. The first boarding squad entered, and froze. The corridors were empty. Lights dim. Atmosphere thin but breathable. Too quiet. Proceed, the commander ordered. The moment the second squad entered, the station shifted. Gravity reversed. Walls became floors. Floors became ceilings. Dracth soldiers slammed into surfaces, disoriented. Then the station spoke. A calm, synthetic human voice echoed through every corridor. Welcome to EOS. The lights flared red. Hidden panels opened. Not weapons. Mirrors. Energy fields activated, trapping the Dracth inside localized gravity wells. Their weapons failed. Their armor locked. Their commander shouted orders that went nowhere. On the bridge of the Dracth flagship, sensors went wild. What is happening down there? He demanded. The answer came in the form of a message. From Ambassador Rowan. EOS station was never civilian, Rowan said calmly. It is a classroom. The station's outer hull unfolded. What the Dracth had thought were structural elements revealed themselves as massive focusing arrays. The star nearby pulsed. Energy redirected. The Dracth fleet's shields flared, then shut down. Human ships appeared from nothing. Not from hyperspace. From inside the system. Stealth frames disengaged. Rail cannons charged. Cade's voice came across the human fleet channel. Disarm only. Leave them alive. The battle lasted 8 minutes. When it ended, the Dracth fleet was drifting, powerless. No ships destroyed. No lives taken. The message was clear. Humanity could have annihilated them. They chose not to. Across the galaxy, shock turned into fear. They weaponized a research station. They used the star itself. They anticipated the boarding. In the Concord chamber, Carex was silent. Saris whispered, "This was a trap." Ulan pulsed weakly. A demonstration. Threx rose slowly. "They are teaching us," he said. On Earth, President Cruz watched the aftermath. "We crossed a line," she said quietly. Cade nodded. "So did they." Vale frowned. "What happens now?" Cade looked at the stars. "Now," she said, "they decide whether to learn or escalate." In deep space, human fleets repositioned again. This time, closer to Concord core systems. Not threatening. Not hiding. Waiting. The galaxy had tried pressure. Humanity answered with precision. The war they didn't see coming had already begun. The Aurelian Concord was not used to being shown up. For millennia, it had dictated the flow of interstellar politics. Its fleets patrolled unchallenged. Its laws enforced without question. Its treaties were carved in living crystal, binding species stronger than gravity. Now all of that was crumbling. It began quietly at first. Human convoys continued moving along forbidden routes, carrying resources, technology, and intelligence. But the fleets were unlike any Concord intelligence could detect. They moved in fractal patterns, splitting and merging, slipping through sensor nets, appearing and disappearing as though reality itself had decided to play a trick. The first strike came without warning. A Dracth mining fleet, 10 times larger than EO Station, entered a contested asteroid field near human outer colonies. The Concord considered it a minor skirmish, a test of patience. By the time the Dracth commander realized the human ships were waiting, it was too late. From the asteroid belts, hundreds of stealth frames surged forward, engines silent, sensors masked. The humans did not fire lasers or missiles. They struck strategically. Navigation arrays scrambled. Weapon systems overloaded. Engines locked. One by one, the Dracth vessels fell into silent orbits, completely immobilized. No one died, but the effect was catastrophic. The fleet was effectively destroyed without a single energy shot. When the news reached the Concord, panic spread. "How?" Saris whispered. "They aren't attacking. They're neutralizing. Disabling. Teaching us how fragile we are." Carex slammed his claws against the council table. "Then we bring full fleets. Overwhelm them. Crush their systems." Ulan pulsed nervously. "They don't behave like conventional species. Conventional overwhelm won't work." Threx did not speak. He only watched the fleet projections, noting patterns no Concord analyst had ever anticipated. On Earth, the War Council watched the galaxy burn, Not with fear but with calculation. Admiral Hannah Cade surveyed the strategic map. Red dots marked Concord fleets, blue dots marked human assets. They expect us to fight them head-on, she said, pointing to the fleets massing near the Sirith system, a key jump corridor. They think we'll meet them with conventional forces. We won't. President Elena Cruz leaned forward. Then what do we do? Cade smiled faintly. We fight smarter. Not harder. The human plan was elegant and terrifying. Decoy fleets would lure Concord forces into carefully prepared regions of space. Stealth drones and minefields would neutralize their weapon systems without causing casualties. Quantum hacking arrays embedded in neutral systems would intercept communications, leaving the Concord fleet blind and confused. Strategic strikes would disable their logistics networks, ensuring the Concord could not resupply or retreat effectively. The plan relied on precision, intelligence, and patience, human traits the Concord had underestimated. The first engagement in Sirith was cinematic. The Concord fleet emerged from hyperspace, confident in its numerical superiority. Dreadnoughts glowed, capital ships bristled with weapons, and fighter wings danced like swarming locusts. Human decoy ships, smaller, less advanced, drifted into sight, seemingly outmatched. The Concord commanders laughed. Primitive craft. Easy prey. Then the human ships vanished. Stealth frames appeared inside the Concord formation. Sensors jammed. Shields fluctuated. Navigation systems failed. Fighters collided mid-flight. Energy cannons overloaded, spewing plasma into space uncontrollably. From Earth, Admiral Cade watched through live feeds. Phase 2, she murmured. Apply pressure. The human fleet did not fire directly. Instead, strategic electromagnetic pulses disrupted weapon systems, while quantum hacking arrays injected false commands into Concord fleet AI. Ships turned on each other. The Concord, known for absolute coordination, descended into chaos. Within hours, the Concord fleet was retreating, humiliated, disabled, and confused. Across the galaxy, news spread like wildfire. Elder species who never feared humans now feared them. Younger empires who mocked Earth reconsidered alliances. Concord merchants refused to send ships through human-controlled corridors. Political councils erupted into debates on whether humans should be eliminated immediately or negotiated with. Back on Earth, Rowan convened a meeting with Cruz, Cade, and Vale. They expected conventional responses, Rowan said. They underestimated our intelligence, adaptability, and patience. Now the galaxy is learning the same lesson humans always knew. Do not assume weakness equals simplicity. Vale shook his head. They'll come back stronger. Cruz's eyes narrowed. Then we make sure they learn the next lesson carefully. Human fleets began positioning closer to Concord core systems, but not aggressively. They moved silently, deliberately, with drones and stealth frames embedded along strategic routes. The Concord, now shaken, scrambled to respond. Council chambers erupted with debate. We must attack Earth. Carex demanded. Crush the human fleets before they reach our core. No, Threx said quietly. They are not our enemy yet. They are teaching us something. And if we ignore it, we will lose everything. Across the galaxy, smaller powers began choosing sides. Some secretly aligned with humanity, seeing the Terran systems as the new standard of intelligence and strategy. Others strengthened Concord fleets, hoping to suppress the humans before their influence spread. In the void of space, the first true galactic chessboard had been set. And humanity was already thinking 5 moves ahead. On a bridge overlooking the stars, Admiral Cade stared at a holographic projection of Concord command fleets. They think they understand war, she said quietly. President Cruz nodded beside her. They think they understand humans. Cade's eyes gleamed. They don't. And they never will. The galaxy was burning. But humanity? Humanity was calm. Because they always knew the fire would reveal who truly survived, and who was merely pretending to be invincible. The galaxy had begun to speak of humans in hushed tones. Not as upstarts. Not as curiosities. As a force to fear. Every species with advanced technology, every empire that had laughed at humanity, every fleet that had once assumed dominance now questioned its own safety. And yet, no one truly understood what humanity could do next. It started with intelligence reports from the Concord Outer Rim. Fleet movements that had once been predictable were now erratic, almost intelligent. Convoys seemed to vanish into thin space, only to reappear elsewhere. Supply lines were cut, not destroyed but manipulated. Communications were scrambled. This is not war as we know it, whispered a Valari analyst during a council briefing. They are learning our systems faster than we can deploy them. Carex's claws flexed nervously. Enough whispers. We must attack. They cannot continue to outmaneuver us. Threx, the arch-mediator, was quiet. For the first time in centuries he seemed uncertain. They are teaching us patience and fear. And patience, Carex, is a far deadlier weapon than any fleet. Humanity's next move was not conventional. The Concord had focused on open confrontations, expecting fleets, battles, and destruction. But humans did something unexpected. They struck at the Concord's logistics and command networks directly. In orbit around the Lyrith conflux, the heart of the Concord's communications array, human stealth frames appeared. Not dozens, hundreds. All moving with perfect coordination, each vessel a ghost. Draktiach and Valari patrols were sent to intercept. They never returned. The human ships did not fire upon them. Instead, they reprogrammed Concord drones and automated defense platforms to capture them alive but neutralized. Then came the message broadcast across all channels. Ambassador Rowan's voice, calm and commanding. We are not your enemy. We are your correction. The first strike hit the Concord where it hurt most, its arrogance. The humans did not destroy fleets. They did not raise colonies. They exposed vulnerabilities. Sensors that were considered unbreachable were disabled. Quantum channels once thought secure were open to human observation. Supply routes disappeared from Concord navigational logs, leaving fleets stranded and disoriented. The galaxy watched in disbelief. They are not fighting conventionally, Olin admitted. They are teaching us strategy, foresight, and humility. But for humanity the goal was clear. Control the battlefield without starting a war that could escalate beyond reason. In the Terran War Room, Admiral Cade outlined the next phase to President Cruz and General Vale. We strike where it matters, Cade said. The Lyrith conflux is a nerve center. If we show the Concord that they are vulnerable, the rest of the galaxy will realize the same. But we must do it without annihilation. Rowan added, we will let them survive but they will remember. We will show intelligence and precision, not brute force. Vale frowned. And if they retaliate? If Carex escalates? Cade's expression was sharp. Then they'll learn patience is stronger than panic. The operation unfolded like a symphony. Stealth frames moved silently through unmonitored corridors. Human drones infiltrated orbital arrays. Communications relays were hijacked. Automated weapon systems were reprogrammed to disable, capture, and observe. Within hours, the Concord's nerve center was paralyzed. Fleets attempting to coordinate fell into chaos. Ships collided accidentally. Commands were misinterpreted. No blood was spilled. No worlds burned. But the message was unmistakable. Humanity can strike anywhere, anytime, and without warning. The Concord Council erupted in crisis. Humans have reached core systems without opposition. Carex roared. How is this possible? They adapted, Bullen said weakly. They exploit patterns, gaps, and human innovation, faster than we can react. Sarah's voice trembled. They are not like any species we know. Their methods, their intelligence, it's unmatched. Threx remained silent, staring at the projection of the crippled Lyrith conflux. Finally he spoke. They are teaching us to fear. That is their strategy. Not war. Fear as a tool. Intelligence as a weapon. In orbit above the conflux, Ambassador Rowan addressed the galaxy again. We do not seek destruction. We seek understanding. Humanity survives because we learn faster, adapt quicker, and think deeper. We have corrected the assumption that we are weak. Do not make the next mistake. Across galactic channels, the message spread. Elder species reconsidered centuries of condescension. Younger empires began secretly aligning with Terran interests. Concord fleets scrambled to regroup, realizing that open aggression would be disastrous. The humans had demonstrated something deeper than firepower. A calculated, precise, and ruthless intelligence that no one had predicted. Back on Earth, the leaders watched reports of stunned alien fleets. Phase 2 complete, Admiral Cade said. President Cruz leaned back in her chair. They will never underestimate us again. General Vale's eyes were sharp. And they will remember what happened here. Rowan added quietly, the galaxy is awake now. They have seen what humans are capable of, and they will think twice before ever calling us weak. The war had begun. But humanity had already won the first battle, not with brute force but with intellect, patience, and precision. The Concord had been humiliated. The galaxy had been shocked. And humans? They were only beginning to show their true strength. The galaxy was no longer the same. Whispers of human genius spread through every star system. Fleets that once dominated entire sectors now dreaded the shadows of Terran vessels. The elder species, whose arrogance had lasted millennia, found themselves outmaneuvered at every turn. And yet, humanity still did not strike with full force. In the weeks after the Lyrith Conflux operation, Concord fleets attempted to reorganize. The Aurelian Concord declared emergency councils, enforcing stricter regulations, deploying larger fleets, and calling in reserves from distant systems. But every move was met with subtle counteraction. Trade routes collapsed before they could reach Concord hubs. Fleets attempting direct assaults encountered phantom targets, traps, and automated defenses. Key communication nodes were silently hijacked, feeding false intelligence back to enemy commanders. Humans did not destroy. They controlled the battlefield without being seen, turning every Concord advantage into a liability. On Earth, the War Council convened in the deep subterranean chamber beneath Terra Prime. President Elena Cruz addressed the room. The Concord is panicking. The galaxy is watching. Now is when we decide, do we escalate, or teach them further? Admiral Hannah Cade, standing before a hollow map of the galaxy, pointed to Concord fleets clustered around the Draktiach Imperium's outer rim. They have forces ready but poorly coordinated. If we nudge the balance, we can show humanity's apex strategy without risking civilian casualties or open war. General Marcus Vale frowned. Nudge how? Cade's lips curved into a tight smile. By turning their own weapons against them. Rowan, observing quietly, added, the Concord cannot anticipate human tactics. And they never will. The operation began quietly. Human stealth fleets infiltrated the outer edge of the Draktiach Imperium, aligning themselves in locations deliberately visible to Concord surveillance, but only partially. Then, in perfect coordination, supply depots were sabotaged using non-lethal nanomachines. Fleet AI was subtly hacked, forcing ships to misalign formation and collide without triggering alarms. Diplomatic channels were flooded with falsified communications, suggesting internal dissent and mutiny. The Concord watched in disbelief as fleets disintegrated from within, without a single human shot fired. It was humiliation at a galactic scale. Inside the Concord Council chamber, panic spread like wildfire. Karax slammed his claws repeatedly. This is impossible. Entire fleets vanishing. Systems collapsing. Saris' tentacles writhed. They are not fighting. They are controlling, manipulating. Every step we take, they anticipate. Ulan's form pulsated rapidly, signaling distress. Their intelligence exceeds our predictions. They are apex predators of strategy. Threx, Archmediator, finally spoke. His compound eyes scanned the holographic map of Concord losses. Humanity does not fight like other species. Their apex is not in weapons. It is in calculation, adaptability, and patience. Every attempt to resist has been predicted. Every weakness has been neutralized. And yet, no blood has been spilled. Not yet. Karax roared. We cannot allow this to continue. Threx turned slowly. If we act rashly, the galaxy will collapse. They do not need to strike. Humanity only needs to exist as it is to rewrite the balance. Meanwhile, in orbit above the neutral planet Vera, Ambassador Rowan addressed a gathering of human commanders. The galaxy fears us, he said calmly. Not for our strength, but for our unpredictability. We have shown restraint. We have shown precision. Now we solidify our position. We are no longer just survivors. We are architects of strategy, the apex of foresight. The galaxy will bend to this reality, slowly or violently, but it will bend. Admiral Cade nodded. The next stage is diplomacy disguised as control. Make them see our intelligence, not our force. Let them think twice before calling us weak. Vale frowned. And if they attack anyway? Rowan's eyes hardened. Then they will learn the final lesson. And it will be unforgettable. Across the stars, smaller species began making choices. Some secretly aligned with humanity, offering intelligence and resources. Others, still loyal to the Concord, began fearing their own fleets. Entire sectors refused to act against Terran forces, citing unexplainable interference in fleet operations. The Concord itself teetered on collapse. The galaxy's political balance, once stable for millennia, had fractured. Humans had achieved something no other species could, supremacy without total war. But not everyone welcomed it. Karax, humiliated and furious, convened a private war council. They must be destroyed, he growled. No diplomacy. No trickery. We will unleash everything, fleets, weapons, allies, and end them before they consolidate further. Ullin pulsed nervously. That may be our end. They anticipate moves we cannot even imagine. Saris whispered, if we strike, humanity will respond with precision. We cannot win a head-to-head war. Carex bared his teeth. Then we will gamble everything. We must. On Earth, Rowan watched the Concord fleets begin to maneuver. They do not understand yet, he said quietly to Cade. They think escalation will give them advantage. But humans turn escalation into opportunity. Cade studied the tactical map. Let them make the first move. The galaxy will witness a lesson they never expected. Rowan's eyes gleamed. And humanity will rise higher than ever. Not through destruction, but through intelligence, patience, and absolute control of the battlefield. The galaxy was poised on the edge of collapse. And the apex predator of space, humanity itself, was about to make its move. The galaxy held its breath. For centuries, the Aurelian Concord had ruled with an unchallenged hand. Its fleets patrolled systems with absolute authority. Its laws dictated the lives of trillions. Entire species had bent to its will without question. Until now, humanity had already reshaped the galactic order. The Kepri 9 incident, Io Station, the Cirith maneuver, the Lirith conflux operation. They were lessons in restraint, intelligence, and precision. But this final act would reveal the apex of human capability. The Concord believed it could contain humanity with conventional fleets. It was wrong. In the Shorath expanse, near the central nexus of Concord space, a massive armada gathered. Drakdach, Valari, Ulanite, and lesser allied species combined forces into what they believed was an unstoppable strike. Billions of crewed ships, dreadnoughts bristling with energy weapons, and squadrons of advanced fighters. We will crush them, Carex said, claws shaking. End this once and for all. Threx, the arch-mediator, remained silent. His compound eyes reflected the human fleets already appearing in the sector. Not in numbers. Not in firepower. In control. The humans had been waiting. From stealth positions across hidden systems, hundreds of human vessels emerged, forming an intricate web. Their formation was impossible to decipher. Fractals within fractals, ever shifting. Sensor sweeps failed. Targeting systems locked onto illusions. A single human battleship entered hyperspace near the Concord fleet and projected a quantum hologram of the Armada itself. Every ship, every formation, every movement replicated, but under human control. The Concord fleet fired. Missiles, lasers, psionic pulses. Every weapon was redirected, neutralized, or trapped in engineered gravitational wells. Ships collided accidentally, engines failed, communication channels flooded with false orders. Panic spread faster than the weapons could fire. Ambassador Elias Rowan's calm voice echoed across the networks. You sought to crush us with fire and numbers. We teach differently. Observe carefully. Humanity does not conquer with destruction. Humanity conquers with intelligence, adaptability, and foresight. Your fleets are yours, but your confidence is ours. Then came the demonstration. A single Terran dreadnought activated its stellar manipulation array, a technology previously unseen by any alien species. The nearby star pulsed in controlled bursts. Gravitational waves rippled through the sector. Concord ships were forced to drift helplessly. Minor errors cascaded into disasters. Dreadnoughts collided. Fighters lost control. Entire formations were immobilized. The galaxy watched in stunned silence. Humans were capable of destroying everything, yet they did not. They restrained themselves, showcasing supremacy without mass casualties. In the Concord chamber above Vale Prime, chaos erupted. Carex slammed the table. We are helpless. Every fleet we send is disabled before even firing. Ullin pulsed rapidly. They anticipate every possible move. Every contingency. Their intelligence exceeds our understanding. Sarah's voice was trembling. They could end us, if they wanted to. Yet they do not. Why? Threx leaned forward, eyes narrowing. Because this is not war. This is a lesson. Humanity shows us the apex of strategy, the height of patience, the pinnacle of foresight. And in doing so, humanity commands the galaxy without lifting a finger in anger. On Earth, the leadership observed live feeds of Concord fleets immobilized across Shorath expanse. President Elena Cruz spoke quietly but with certainty. They are learning what we always knew. Humans survive not because we are the strongest, but because we are the smartest, the fastest to adapt, the hardest to predict. Admiral Cade smiled, eyes fixed on the tactical map. Every fleet they send, every strike they plan, we already considered 5 moves ahead. Every assumption is their trap, every expectation ours to exploit. General Marcus Vale shook his head in disbelief. The galaxy will never underestimate us again. Rowan's voice, calm as always, concluded the briefing. The Concord can rebuild fleets. They can rewrite laws. But the apex predator of space has revealed itself. And from now on, humanity is not just a species. Humanity is the measure by which all others will be judged. The final act of supremacy came not with fire or weapons, but with a gesture of restraint. Human fleets withdrew slowly from the Shorath expanse. No ships were destroyed. No casualties inflicted. The Concord fleets were left humiliated but alive, their pride shattered. Across the galaxy, species took note. Humans could strike anywhere, anytime. Humans could predict, manipulate, and control battles without mass destruction. Humans could reshape galactic politics with intelligence, patience, and precision. The Concord finally understood. They were no longer rulers. Humanity had ascended. Ambassador Rowan addressed the galaxy one last time. Broadcasts reached every star system. The galaxy assumed humanity was weak, expendable, and primitive. That was a mistake. We do not conquer by force, nor do we destroy indiscriminately. We survive. We adapt. We excel. And in doing so, we redefine what it means to be powerful. We are human. And we are impossible to underestimate. The message was simple. The lesson unforgettable. In the months that followed, Concord policies toward humanity shifted from contempt to respect. Younger species aligned with Earth, seeking guidance and alliance. Galactic commerce, exploration, and politics adapted to Terran presence. And humanity continued to expand, not with conquest but with ingenuity, diplomacy, and foresight. The galaxy had been forced to bow, not out of fear but out of acknowledgement of humanity's uniqueness. On a quiet observation deck aboard Earth's flagship, Rowan, Cade, Vale, and President Cruz watched distant stars. Did they really believe they could stop us? Cade asked. Vale shook his head. They underestimated humans, the one mistake no one ever survives twice. Cruz smiled faintly. The galaxy has changed. Forever. And humanity has finally claimed its place among the stars. Rowan looked out at the void, his expression calm, almost serene. We did not destroy them. We taught them. And the lesson will echo for millennia. Above them, the stars seemed brighter, as if the universe itself recognized the rise of a species that had been dismissed as weak, but had proven truly unstoppable. The galaxy would never forget. Humanity had arrived. And it had done so without firing a single unnecessary shot.